For the past 30 days, I've been working slightly harder. What do I mean? 30 days ago, I decided I was tired of working towards my personal development goals and not feeling like I was getting anywhere. I had been consuming so much personal finance and business content, yet I felt like I had very little to show for it. I felt like I hadn't been making as much progress as I wanted to in my fitness goals, and I wasn't learning as much as I used to, probably because of all the time I found myself mindlessly scrolling through social media apps. Additionally, I wanted to test myself and see exactly what I could do. So I created a 30-day challenge for myself, slightly inspired by Andy Frisella's like 75 Hard, but a little bit more tailored towards my personal goals. So here are the challenge requirements. Every day for the past 30 days, I've had to stay within my budget, make at least $100 per day outside of business activities, continue working out every day. Right now I'm on a push-pull legs cardio split with boxing every Wednesday. And I decided I was gonna start tracking what I was eating. So I needed to eat at least 3,200 calories per day with at least 112 grams of protein. I had to spend less than 30 minutes per day on all social media apps combined. And finally, I had to read something nonfiction for at least 15 minutes per day. Oh, and also I had to do all that while quitting caffeine. But there's a catch. I needed to find a way to hold myself accountable to completing everything each day. So I talked with some friends and put together some fines in case I messed up. If I went over budget or I didn't make my $100 outside of the business per day, I had to pay $80. If I missed a day of working out or eating correctly, I'd have to pay $50. And if I used social media for too long or forgot to read, then I would owe $30, meaning I could be paying up to $5,700 in fees. So when starting out, I was waking up super early around 5 a.m. I was very proactive about things and I didn't miss a beat. I will say quitting caffeine was definitely the hardest part.
I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't need it.
In the beginning, I was swapping back and forth between two books for my reading. The first being How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, and the second being Trump's The Art of the Deal. The first week went really smoothly. I was putting in the work early and getting done by the early afternoon with both my calorie and macro goals, money, reading, etc. In order to earn $100 a day outside of the business, I had two main sources of income. The first one is gonna be DoorDash, and the second one is gonna be flipping things on Facebook Marketplace, just like I used to do in high school. Both of these proved to be very effective. After about a week, I noticed that since quitting caffeine, I would wake up and have tons of energy. Before quitting caffeine, it would take me a while to like get up in the morning, but without the caffeine in my system, as soon as I woke up, I was up and I could get out of bed and be fine. But I noticed that throughout the day, I had way less energy, and this persisted throughout the entire 30-day challenge. For the first 2 weeks, I was able to get through everything flawlessly. Diet and exercise were on point. I was making more than enough money outside of the business while the business was running just as it had been before, and I felt much better about myself not being on social media so much. However, a little over 2 weeks in, I made my first mistake. I'd stayed up with a friend making a call on Instagram, which put my social media usage at 31 minutes out of 30. So I had to pay my first $30 fine. Aside from that though, things were going really well, and I was really happy that I was doing this. I found that I actually didn't have less time. I was just more efficient with the time that I did have. Funny enough, I actually had more time to do the things that I used to love to do, like watch anime, play video games, and research technology for my own reasons. This mostly comes from limiting my time on social media, I think. It was nice to be intentional about the way I was using things instead of just mindlessly scrolling through social media apps. On top of that, throughout the whole 30-day period, the business didn't slip once. We did a little bit less volume than we normally do, but it was our most profitable month yet. Throughout the rest of the 30-day period, even though I got a little bit busier with business work, I didn't mess up in any other way. Now that I'm done with the challenge, there are a couple things that I'm actually gonna keep doing and a couple things I'm gonna stop doing. Going forward, I will be going back to caffeine. Even if it's not the greatest for my health and it costs some more money, I just feel better when I have it and I'm more productive. Additionally, to make the challenge easier for myself, I had deleted some social media apps like TikTok, and I'm going to be re-downloading those now that the challenge is over, but not for consumption, just for content creation for the business. Also, I'm gonna stop tracking my calories now that I have an idea of what I'm eating, because I found myself doing this weird thing where I was actually eating a little bit less than before, because if a food wasn't calorically dense enough, I would just avoid it entirely, and then I would get busy with something else and end up not eating. One thing that I am gonna try to keep though, at least for a little while, even with more leniency, is the making $100 a day outside of the business. Because if I'm able to increase my income by a minimum of $3,000 per month, and the business is able to sustain itself in the same way it always does, why not? Finally, the reading. So my ADHD brain is awful at focusing, and I know that that's a skill that has been developed through this challenge, which is great, but I prefer to consume content in audio form way more. So I'm probably gonna go back to just listening to audiobooks and podcasts as a way to learn, instead of taking the time out of my day to read physical media. If you're looking for some good podcasts, by the way, I definitely recommend The Iced Coffee Hour with Graham Stephan, the Entree Leadership Podcast, which is Dave Ramsey, Andy Frisella's Real AF, specifically the Q&AF videos, and the Strike It Big podcast. Me and a couple friends are actually considering starting our own podcast, so let me know down in the comments if you think you would watch. Also, if you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe to see more content like this. Finally, let me know, are you gonna try a challenge like this? Might as well, it's pretty fun. I've got to zoom off to a meeting, so I'm gonna let you guys go, but have a good one. Peace.